Let's bring in our regular Monday panel. Member for Bennelong, Jerome Laxale. Member for Casey, a Liberal MP, Aaron Violi. Aaron, what are the lessons the Liberal Party needs to learn? How do you need to regroup as a coalition now over coming days?
Well, there's a lot of lessons that we need to learn, Kieran. Obviously, when you get a result like that, you need to go back to first principles, looking at our values as a party and how we can make sure that they connect with the Australian people. And ultimately, we have to show the Australian people that we have solutions to the challenges that they face. They felt on May 3rd that we didn't have the solutions that they were feeling, so we need to go back and stay true to our values, but put forward positive policies. But as I said to you on the Monday straight afterwards, we also need to recognise that while the ALP and Anthony Albanese had a great political win, the economic challenges, the national security and geopolitical challenges the Australian people face are still there today. And so the first thing we need to do is make sure that we're a credible opposition, agree with the government where we can and where it's in the country's best interest, but also hold them to account. And we're going to, we're seeing already disaster after disaster from this government. We need to hold them to account when they fail.
It might be a bit much to say disaster after disaster, given it's only been a few weeks, but we did see the default market offer today, Jerome, for the energy prices. And just Ted O'Brien's put out a statement. He says, while they're going to take some time to come formalise their own policy on energy and so on moving forward, what they do know and what is clear, I think for many households in Bennelong as well, that the price pressures remain when it comes to power bills, and the latest energy market offer reinforces that, Jerome.
Yeah, look, there's no denying that energy prices are too high, and that's why at each and every budget we've delivered cost of living relief through energy bill rebates. And that's, from the first budget we handed down and that legislation at the end of 2022, which Aaron and the Liberals opposed, we've handed out that cost of living relief through energy rebates, but we know this will take time. It's now 2 elections that we've said renewable energy, the cheapest form of new energy, will be part of our energy transition, and we're getting on with that job. I note the energy market regulator said that one of the biggest contributing factors to the higher prices was failing and ageing coal power plants, and meaning we need to rely on more expensive fossil fuels. The Australian public have backed in our plans. We need to get more renewable energy in the system. And back to your first question to Aaron, I don't see how the irreconcilable differences on renewable energy and net zero can keep the coalition together. I mean, you vote for Aaron, you get Barnaby Joyce around the table, you get Alex Antich in the party room. These are irreconcilable differences. So it'll be interesting to see how they play out in the short and long term.
I'll get Aaron's thoughts on that in a moment, and I'll get back to Aaron. But before we move on from energy with Jerome, I want to see, did you feel that your constituents, those in your part of Sydney, voted for the government now to deliver on that energy transition? Is that something that was raised with you regularly, Jerome?
Absolutely. The alternative was the most expensive form of new power in nuclear energy, and they voted with evidence that renewable energy is the cheapest form of new power. They also recognised that we had taken that cost of living relief through energy rebates through multiple budgets, and also had policies to assist with reducing power prices across the board. I mean, our home battery scheme was something that people raised with me almost daily in Bennelong, where batteries will help people reduce their power prices. $1,100 a year if you've got solar, over $2,300 a year if you add solar and battery to your home. We had a plan that didn't involve the most expensive form of new power, and Australians backed that in Bennelong, and they backed it across the country.
Aaron, as I said, Ted O'Brien, the deputy leader of your party, has released a statement. He says, we'll take the time to listen and get it right in terms of your policy on energy, but when it comes to trying to land something that's keeping everyone happy in the broad church of the coalition, can you do that?
Oh, we can and we will. And I mean, we understand now why Chris Bowen was in witness protection during the campaign. And let's be really clear, we've seen the price increases today. It's going to get worse when that short-term temporary measure of the rebates that the government have been providing to the Australian people comes off. But let's be clear, the government's not providing it. Taxpayers have been providing it. We also saw reports today that investment in new gas, which is going to underpin renewables and underpin cheaper energy, is actually down in Australia relative to other countries. And one of those reasons, as it was reported today, is because of the uncertainty that came into the market through the intervention of the Albanese Labor government. 2022, they promised a reduction of $275. They broke that promise. It wasn't delivered by 2025. This time, the Prime Minister was a little bit more honest. He couldn't even give a number. He admitted prices would continue to go up. The real question is how much. It's going to get a lot worse for the Australian people. It's clear, as I've said to you many times, Kieran, that whether it's Anthony Albanese, Jim Chalmers, Chris Bowen, this government does not have solutions to the challenges that we face at the structural level. All they can put in is temporary measures, but in the long term, it's going to be the Australian people that are paying the price, and we're seeing that today.
Well, we will see, Jerome. We've obviously got an expectation, I think, from many observers that the government's margin almost guarantees another term beyond this. There's never a guarantee in politics, though. The government, the Prime Minister, clearly wanted to show the Australian people he's getting on with it, being methodical with the cabinet meeting, the first one of the term today, Jerome.
Yeah, look, I mean, we're a stable government, over 100 Labor MPs in the caucus. I think it's the largest since Federation. We don't take that for granted. We have a strong mandate to deliver what we took to the election. And a big part of what we took to the election was this plan for energy transition. I totally reject Aaron's comments, which, he said that we didn't have a plan. We absolutely do have a plan for 82% renewable energy, backed by gas, backed by storage, and that's one of many things we need to deliver in this 3 years. I would caution anyone who says that we've got 6 years in the bag. No seat's a safe seat anymore. We've got 3 years to deliver on what we took to the election, and we'll need that time to deliver all that. There's plenty to do.
Yeah. And Aaron, we've got to wrap it up, but you might be a front bencher as of next week when we catch up next Monday. We're expecting the front bench team to be announced this week, Aaron.
I think you said that last week, Kieran. It's it'll be what it'll be. I'm not focused on what happens. As I said, Susan will determine the front bench. Unlike Labor, whose factional operatives decide who gets what and when, Susan will decide that as democratically elected by the party. My focus, as I said, is to play a big role in the rebuild. There's a lot of work that we need to do. The Australian people need us to be a credible opposition, but I'm also making sure I'm focused here on the community. In case you've been out and about talking to businesses and communities that are struggling, those struggles are real, and I'll keep representing our community and putting forward a voice in any role that I have in a coalition government, or opposition, I should say,
Aaron,
future government.
Yeah, well, indeed. That's your hope. Retain it. Of course, it's still alive for the coalition as they rebuild. They've got a long rebuild ahead. Aaron, Jerome, thank you.